Super valuable and rare Commonwealth's clear case of double striking, interestingly so, with dies of $1973, and then further case of a coin sticking to the dice to yield a brokerage impression of the reverse building design, very unlikely even for a mint error. A fascinating study piece, sold on January 12, 2020 for $1,540 at Heritage Auctions. Moving to this proof coin from Australia, 1955 Elizabeth II proof penny minted by Purse Mint, graded as PR64 red by NGC, an impressive fully red representative of this elusive Purse Mint proof with no spotting or other issues of concern to speak of. Metal composition is bronze and weight is nearly 10 grams, sold on April 11, 2014 for $10,575 at Heritage Auctions. Here is British coin featuring young Queen's portrait facing right. Her so-called first portrait, 1960, proof 5 shillings. Graded as PR66 with cameo designation. Exact mintage of this coin is unknown, but it is estimated to be between 11 or 20 overall. Very rare proof striking that's vital to the collections of British and Crown specialists in general. This lustrous, vibrant gem radiates with tremendous mirrored nature and subtle frosting to the devices. Sold in May 2020 for $10,200 at Stack's Powers. Yet another error coin from Canada, 1971 Elizabeth II dollar coin struck on a silver planchet. An exceedingly rare strike on a silver planchet weighing 17 grams. Although the offering has been designated as a mint error by PCGS, this is perhaps unlikely. Smaller silver planchets of this weight were not in use at the time at the Royal Canadian Mint, and the 32mm size is the same as the specification for the standard nickel issue. Lightly handled and reflective with a care in preservation that places the offering at the cusp of gem status. This intriguing rarity should easily find itself targeted by Canadian specialist collectors. Sold on January 10, 2020 for $12,000 at Heritage Auctions. Here is 1958 gold-proof sovereign at PR67 deep cameo condition. This specimen is nearly perfect, may actually be undergraded, and has the sweetest eye appeal imaginable. Black and white cameo contrast on both Queen's portrait and St. George's figure. A perfect proof impression of the dies, flawless surfaces, and exquisite honey gold color. Actual gold weight is 0.23 oz. Let alone net value of this coin is more than $260. Sold on January 4, 2010 for $14,375 at Heritage Auctions. Here is 1983 gold, $2,500 from Bahamas. Choice proof with George's cameo on both sides, issued for the 10th anniversary of independence. Portrait of useful Elizabeth, reverse as flamingo and dolphin supporting arms. Mintage of just 55 pieces and comes in original custom box with certificate of authenticity. Actual weight of gold is 12 oz. Sold in 2009 for $12,075 at Heritage Auctions. This is error coin from Canada, 1969 Elizabeth II 25 cents, struck on a German gold 20 marks, dated 1906. An extremely rare mint error or mint sport. Much of the detail of the original piece remains, and the coin itself has survived in fully gem condition, its flashy pale gold surface is shining with gentle wateriness. Comparable to an example of the same date, this struck over a Great Britain gold sovereign dated 1967, offered at Heritage in 2014, which sold for $18,000, possibly unique with the present undertype, and a trophy piece for the collector of Canadian mint errors, sold on January 22, 2021 for $21,000 at Heritage Auctions. This is double struck proof coin from Canada, 1985 Elizabeth II National Parks, $100. This gold proof $100 coin has been double struck over about 60% of its obverse, warping the flank. Its very existence is remarkable considering the stringent production standards surrounding the minting of gold coins. What's more, the very fact it left the mint is outstanding. being such a significant and obvious error. That being said, there is something immensely charming about this piece. Whereas numismatics are so used to seeing flat, motionless discs, this coin positively leaps out at the viewer, hurled into 3 dimensions by the merciless crushing blow of the die. Every dynamic curve flows with gleaming luster, achieving cameo force to the devices even in its twisted state. Sold on January 7, 2019 for $19,200 at Heritage Auctions. Moving on to this excessively rare British coin, 1976 Elizabeth II Proof Pattern Sovereign, graded as PR65 by PCGS, highly elusive discovery piece that first came to light around 2004-2005, and has been confirmed by the British Royal Mint to be one of the paltry 2 pieces struck without device frosting as VIP proofs in 1976. The sole example available to collectors with the other specimen currently residing in Royal Mint's collection. It will be fair to say that this is likely the second rarest Elizabeth II sovereign, following the virtual unattainable 1953, and is certainly the most elusive to carry her decimal portrait bust. One of the great modern rarities of the British series, and quite possibly the only opportunity that most collectors will have. Sold on November 5, 2020 for $39,600. Here is one unique gold dollar coin, 2003 Elizabeth II Proof Golden Jubilee dollar coin, graded as PR67 did cameo by PCGS. Absolutely unique, this stunning commemorative coin celebrates the 50th anniversary of the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. The verse design renders the monarch's bust simply hair coif but without a crown, while the revival of the earlier Voyager design is centered on the reverse. Both sides of the planchets are deeply infused with honeyed color, the fields filled with endless flash that reflects at every turn, while the raised features thickly frosted throughout result in outstanding cameo contrast, produced with intention of raising money for charity. The Royal Canadian Mint used the dies that were created for 2003 special edition silver dollar to strike just one example in gold, this coin. Though only 16 years old, the historical significance of this rare dollar adds tremendously to its allure. Sold on August 15, 2019 for $108,000. Jumping onto these 2021 Gothic Crown Portrait Golden Proof £2,000, were a limited edition with mintage of only 8 pieces. A truly spectacular rendering, yawn and dice, instantly recognizable Gothic crown portrait. Certainly one of the most popular issues during the Victoria's prolific reign, ranked among her Una and the Lion and Jubilee coinage, and now as a part of Elizabeth II's Great Engravers series. A pristine specimen as confirmed by NGC, and appropriately so, dressed in a full golden resplendence punctuated by pristine and seemingly endless mirrors. Contains 64 oz gold. Sold on August 25, 2022 for $180,000 at Heritage Auctions. And the most expensive lot featuring Elizabeth II at Heritage so far, 2019 Elizabeth II Proof Una and the Lion, £2,000. Grade as PR69 Ultra Cameo by NGC. An absolutely massive modern British rarity and the second largest denomination ever struck by the Royal Mint, produced a minuscule figure of just 4 pieces, of which is verified to be the first. The type was issued in commemoration of 170th anniversary of William Young's acclaimed 1839 Una and the Lion £5, part of Victoria's delayed coronation proof set, and often considered to be one of the finest designs ever engraved for a British coin. Essentially flawless in technical quality, exceptional even as collector's issue owning twist vastly expansive surfaces. Perhaps only the most minor evidence of haze on the verse accounts for its sub-70 designation. Sold on January 21, 2021 for $360,000. And the most valuable lot from Stacksbauer's Australian 2006 Elizabeth II $30,000, minted in purse, contains 0.9999 oz pure gold. On the obverse we see mature head of Queen Elizabeth II, by rank broadly. On the reverse, beagle standing, the year, Chinese characters for dog, and the ornate border of bats and clouds, traditional symbols of health, peace and prosperity around. Certainly one of the largest gold coins ever made and the highest Australian dollar denomination coin, accompanied by the letter from Pursemint, attesting that this piece is one of maximum vintage of 20 pieces. Of that total authorized striking, only 7 were struck, making this an excessively rare coin. Adding to the desirability of this coin, it is the first 10-kilo gold coin struck ever. Set in a lucid frame has minor scuffs. The coin has wonderful cameo contrast, and only the slightest evidence of clouding. Light lint marks can be seen with the fourth. A rare and also modern golden issue, sold in 2011 for $517,500 at Stack's Bowers. What's up guys, today's episode features super valuable old and modern world coins. Some of them can be in your coin collection without your knowing it, so pay good attention. But most of the showcase coins are key date representatives or super gems and bullion coins at high mint states. As always, I highly recommend you to hit subscribe button below this video to get daily updates on coin prices. Starting with this Canadian coin, 1906 Edward VII's, 25 cents, circulated coin, graded as AU 58 by PCGS. AU means it almost looks like uncirculated coin. What makes this coin so valuable even in circulated condition is that it's representative of so-called small reverse crown variety. Noted as one of the keys to the series, this small crown variety remains incredibly difficult to acquire so fine, as those that are typically offered have been heavily circulated. This particular coin, teetering on cusp of mint state, displays silver-gray surfaces accented by areas of russet tone. Closer inspection reveals very mild wear to the central motifs. However, the emblematic reverse wrist design shows a struck detailing. Sold on June 28, 2022 for $30,000 at heritage auctions. Super expensive lot from Stack's Bowers, Mexican 1947 silver 50 centavos pattern, graded at mint state 64, featuring a left-facing bust of Benito Juarez. This exceedingly rare and possibly unique specimen dazzles with rather deep tone, composed of burnt sienna, magenta, and gunmetal gray. Meanwhile, some glistening hints of luster, akin to weight, the devices when cradled back and forth in one's hand. Sold at Summer 2022 Showcase auction of Stack's Bowers for $40,800. Here is circulated Philippines coin 1903 or 1904, 1 peso with die cap. Die cap error happens when a coin sticks to the die and strikes more coins. As it continues to strike more coins, the coin that is struck to the die becomes shaped like a bottle cap, hence the name cap die. This coin displays excellent obverse definition, with minor hairlines but little actual wear. The reverse has a ghostly image of obverse, and both sides display varying shades of grey patina. Sold on August 8, 2014 for $41,125. This is 2000p Canadian Elizabeth II 25 cents, struck on a nickel-plated steel planchet. A great modern rarity of the Canadian Numismatic series, one of supposedly just 3-5 known. A magnificent gem, bright white with glossy luster, engraved to shallow relief. Its surface is immaculate and free from hairlines or distracting marks. The sole example certified by PCGS, sold on January 13, 2020 for $26,400 at heritage auction. Another error coin, this one from Great Britain, 1863 Victorian sovereign at mint state 66. This coin is struck 50% of center towards the 10 o'clock. Likely the result of a mint worker curiosity or bad day. The current offering presents a rare opportunity to inspect the appearance of mid-19th century planchet beside the finished product. Of what is struck remains magnificent, the velveteen fields radiating vibrant luster across Victoria's partial young head portrait, whilst the die number is struck wholly of planchet. Sold on August 25th, 2022 for $40,800 at heritage auctions. Moving on to this key date Indian coin, 1911 George V's proof half rupee, a Calcutta mint, graded as PR65 by NGC. It is safe to assume 5 or less of these coins were struck for presentation purposes. Only 2 complete 1911 proof sets are known. The Calcutta mint produced superior strikes workmanship in comparison to Bombay mint, and this coin is a splendid example of this statement. The verse has an exemplary strike, George's light peripheral toning with multitude of colors, velvety bulbous watery mirrors that make up the fields. Sold on January 4th, 2016 for $25,850 at heritage auctions. Yet another error coin, this one featuring young Elizabeth II on a verse, Canadian 1969 25 cents. An extremely rare mint error, struck over an English gold sovereign, dated 1967, with the original Elizabeth readable above the bust. Weight 7.98 grams, possibly unique and trophy for collectors of sovereign or mint errors. Sold on January 5th, 2014 for $21,150 at heritage auctions. Here is super valuable commemorative coin from China, 1989 yuan, graded as proof 69 ultra cameo by NGC. One of the rarest coins of modern Chinese numismatic programs, this piece honors 40th anniversary of founding of People's Republic of China. The verse is composed of an abstract national emblem within 40, with a peace doves above and below. Excerpt from National Anthem March of Volunteers, below with date 1949-1989, while the reverse depicts the national emblem flanked by decorative fireworks. The Great Hall of the People below. The proof had a mintage of only 1,000 pieces. Many numismatic scholars of modern series believe the actual mintage is significantly less. The exact number struck is unknown, but it is believed to be a very limited quantity. It was sold for $36,000 just in October this year at Stack's Bowers. Moving on to this old bullion coin from Montenegro, 1910 Nicholas 1 Gold 100 Perpera, graded at Minstay 63 Plus Ultra Cameo by NGC, a stunning example of these iconic and below early 20th century rarities that is seldom seen in any format, let alone as a proof. On the present example, both sides of design are highlighted by considerable frost that has far fewer breaks than are typically encountered and is emboldened by the deep reflectivity that remains in the fields. In fact, this is the sole finest example graded by NGC or PCGS, with one single other PR63 Ultra Cameo at NGC. But the plus designation of the present setting, this coin apart, has slight finer technical quality. It was sold in 2016 for $64,625. This is 1925 100 francs from Switzerland, one of the most popular gold issues from the 20th century. These types are fully reflective of the iconography and the beauty of Switzerland. This gem example has a glossy luster that cartwheels light in a wholesome fashion. Some very light marks are present, but none significant enough to break the luster. An absolutely amazing piece of Switzerland, this particular example is one of the most commendable of type. Sold in January 2022 for $36,000 at Stack's Bowers. Another coin from Great Britain, 1933 George V's proof pattern penny, graded as PR65 brown by PCGS. The famed 1933 Lavreller pattern, one of 4 known. A wholly engaging specimen of this excessively rare pattern, beautifully struck with remarkably preserved surfaces, retaining much mint red on obverse and more even chocolate tone on reverse. In comparison to the standard issue of the same year, also extremely rare but with 7 known examples versus a minuscule population of 4 for this pattern type. What's most striking about this pattern issue is a great level of detail engraved into the hair and beard of the King George. Sold in 2017 for $64,625 at heritage auctions. This one is from Austria, 1908 gold-proof 100 Corona, graded as PR64 Cameo by NGC. In coin grading, Cameo is the amount of contrast between the raised design and the field. Cameo is usually seen on proof coinage with a relief featuring a frosted finish and the field being mirror-like. Not all proof coins have a cameo effect, however. Present Lady in Clouds type coin was produced for 60th anniversary of Franz Joseph I's reign, sold on January 21, 2021 for $66,000. And here is one of the most valuable British coins featuring Elizabeth II and others. 2020 Proof 3 Graces £1,000, graded as PR7 Ultra Cameo by NGC. Struck to commemorate one of the most beautiful compositions bestowed upon a coin, this impressive 100mm planchet spotlights the classically rendered allegoric figures of England, Ireland, and Scotland embracing their respective national symbols at their feet, all framed within a beaded circle. Contains 0.9999 oz gold and has a weight of more than 1 kilo. Sold on October 28, 2021 for $96,000 at heritage auctions. Collectors, today I'm going to talk about super valuable US coins struck for general circulation and some of them from proof coinage. Key dates, incredible error coins, superb gems, and other highly elusive coins you should know about. So hit subscribe button below this video and let's get started. I assure you that I did not change the toning of this particular coin in Photoshop. This is a nickel gray Sacagawea dollar I'm convinced most of you haven't seen before. 2000p Sacagawea dollar struck on an Anthony dollar planchet. Another step up by US Mint employees. Graded at Mint 68 by NGC. Intense cartwheel luster springs boldly throughout the near perfect gem surfaces of this important off-metal wrong planchet error dollar. The strike is sharp and crisp on both sides, with even tiniest of details fully represented. Low magnification reveals two light vertical die cracks on Sacagawea's portrait, both beginning on her forehead. The host planchet of the present rarity, a copper nickel clad Susan B. Anthony dollar blank composed of an outer core of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to an inner layer of pure copper, is no doubt from Susan B. Anthony coinage of the year 1999. This type of error coin came about when a leftover planchet intended to be struck for 1999 Susan B. Anthony dollar dies was actually struck by Sacagawea dollar dies. This is referred to as an off-metal transitional error and is very rare. Sold in 2012 for $16,450 at Stack's Powers. Moving on to the 1922 Lincoln cent with missing D and strong reverse. Graded at Mint 64 red and brown by NGC. Early on, the discovery was made that despite the Mint reports that no Philadelphia cents were struck in 1922, they seemed to be available. Later, the riddle was untangled. Apparently, in a rush to coin millions of peace dollars in 1922, the Denver Mint was ordered to pick up the slack on cents, but had to use the dies they had in stock already. When one of 1922 D or worse dies clashed, the clash marks were ground off the die, which also happened to remove the mint mark. More cents were struck using two different reverse dies, one with strong wheat ears. The other reverse was badly worn and hence became known as weak reverse. This coin is from strong reverse die pairing and shows no trace of mint mark. Faded mint red is found in protected areas, with balance typically seen bluish brown. The surfaces are clean and attractive and with no distracting nicks on devices or fields. Sold on March 25, 2010 for $40,250 at heritage auctions. Here is another rarely encountered wartime error coin, 1944 Washington quarter struck on a steel cent planchet. Clean coin with AU details. AU stands for about uncirculated. Weight of this bizarre coin is 2.68 grams, while quarter of that issue should weigh 6.30 grams. A highlight of the extensive mint error offerings in the John Whitney Walter collection. This piece exhibits a full date and clear mint mark area. The strike is flush to the lower obverse and upper reverse borders, all design elements that are present exhibiting sharp definition. The obverse is bright and satiny, the reverse a bit darker with light granularity and scattered oxidation. These are rare, and they enjoy further appeal among specialists due to their association by date and planchet stock with 1944 steel sands, and their more famous 1943 bronze sand counterparts. Sold in 2018 for $16,200 at Stack's Powers. Here is 1942/1 mercury dime at Midday 66 with full bands. Other than 1916D, the 1942/1 is the best known key issue in the mercury dime series. It's slightly scarcer as a full band gem than its 1942/1D counterpart, and the overdate feature is much more dramatic. The die for this famous variety was produced sometime within the last 4 months of 1941. It was procedural to begin making dies for the new year as early as September, and in late 1941 and into the following years the Philadelphia Mint was operating at full capacity to meet the economic demands of World War II. In 1942, more than 300 million dimes were struck, the highest mintage of denomination to that date. The coinage required numerous working dies to be manufactured. Whether intentionally or accidentally, 2 obverse dies were overdated. In late 1941, receiving impressions from different hubs during manufacture. One die was shipped to the Denver Mint and employed for coinage. The other, showing more dramatic overdate, was put on press at the Philadelphia Mint. The number of 1942/1 dimes struck at Philadelphia is unknown, but the survivorship is just a tiny fraction of the total 1942 dime population. Sold on January 10, 2019 for $57,600 at Heritage Auctions. Moving on to the 1927S Standing Liberty Quarter at Midday 65 from Full Head variety. Full Head is a grading designation assigned to Standing Liberty Quarters, which generally exhibit full strike with complete design details. Broadly speaking, in order to receive this designation, details of hair must be well defined, with the hairline along the face raised and complete, eyebrow visible and cheek rounded. The 1927S with small mintage of only 396,000 pieces is well-known key issue in the Standing Liberty Quarter series, and is actually scarcer in mint-state conditions than the lower mintage, of which only 52,000 examples were struck. The 1927S is also one of the most weakly struck issues in the series, as the full-head representatives are rare in any grade. This highly elusive quarter was sold for $76,375 in 2014 at Heritage Auctions. Now this unique wartime error penny, 1943 Lincoln cents, struck on unknown planchet containing nearly 92% copper, 7% zinc, and 1% silver. The copper cents of 1943 are undeniably famous. The present example is exciting as it's unusual. The legal standard for bronze cents leading up to the change to steel in 1943 was 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc. As the famous 1943 copper cents have long been understood to have been excellently struck on leftover bronze planchets of 1942, the expected composition of such an error should match the legal standards. As given above, the composition of the present planchet is not, however, an identical match. Additionally, the steel planchet used in regular production 1943 required greater striking pressure to execute the design, so the softer bronze planchets will be expected to be very sharply struck, particularly since these errors would theoretically have been produced at the beginning of 1943 when the dies were fresh. This coin exhibits some softness in details, most noticeably at Lincoln's shoulder, and directly opposing the position of the reverse die, as well at Lincoln's head and near the rims to lesser degree. The surfaces are lustrous golden copper, a tone occasionally seen on other cents of this period. Some light spotting is evident on both sides, the mark of completely original surfaces. The L in Liberty is missing, as you can see. Also the upper letterings are poorly struck. Sold in 2013 for $164,500 at Stax Bowers. Moving on to the attractively toned old US coin, 1880 proof Morgan dollar at PR68 grade with cameo designation. George T. Morgan's iconic silver dollar design was introduced in 1878 and remained in production through 1904. A modified version was brought back briefly in 1921. Today the Morgan dollar is one of, if not the most widely collected sets in American numismatics. Color, contrast, and preservation all come together with the Super Gem cameo representatives. Shades of blue at the border transition to glints of rose, violet, yellow, orange, and mint green toward the centers on each side. Field device contrast persists through the layers of color. Close inspection under the loupe fails to reveal any obvious or noteworthy evidence of contact. A spectacular proof in every possible respect. Sold on October 6, 2022 for $38,400 at Heritage Auctions. This is 1925 S penny at Mint State 65 red. Top grade registry coin. Bold striking for this often poorly defined S Mint Lincoln with uniform golden orange coloration that is slightly mellowed from its original state. Only the beauty of Lincoln shows any noticeable weakness in strike, the reverse being unusually sharp. While not widely recognized, the Lincoln specialist knows that 1925S is among the most difficult issues in the entire series at the gem red level. Sold on August 24, 2022 for $40,800 at Heritage Auctions. And for the last, I would like to show you this undated Vulcan Layered half dollar at Mint State 64. Double strike half dollar with second strike 75% off center. A remarkable mint error on classic obsolete type. The first strike was normal, but the coin was struck a second time wildly off center towards 6 o'clock. The second strike effaces the date and stays off from the initial strike. The large S mint mark makes it likely that the coin was struck during World War II. The brilliant and lustrous surfaces show only incidental marks. Sold on July 7, 2016 for $32,900 at Heritage Auctions. Friends, in this episode I'm going to show you 10 super rare US coins that make really good money at auctions, numismatic pinnacles you should know about. So hit subscribe button below this video and let's get started. This is a very rare Washington quarter with D over S mint mark, 1950 25 cents at Mint State 67, provided with CAC sticker for Excelsior. There are two major varieties for 1950 Washington quarters, the D over S and the S over D. Both are quite rare, with the D over S being somewhat more rare than the S over D. According to David Hall, the story is that in 1950 the Philadelphia Mint received an order for dies from one of the branch mints, and being one die short of filling the order, a mint employee ever points the mint mark in an already existing die to create the die to fill the order. Then sometime later the exact opposite occurred, creating the other variety. This superb gem example is one of mere two known at PCGS, and none are finer. The surfaces are silvery throughout both sides, with a light of blush toning, sorrow luster, and excellent eye appeal. The curve of under mint mark S is visible at the top left, and the top side of subsequent D, one of several fine cherry pickers varieties known for this issue. Sold in 2013 for $29,375 at Heritage Auctions. Moving on to this wartime error nickel, 1943 S Jefferson nickel struck on a steel planchet. Grade at Mint State 66 with full steps designation. This silver grey premium gem exhibits coruscating luster and is essentially pristine. The steps display remarkable detail, slightly uncentered, with a full rim at 9 o'clock on each side, while the right side legends are partly off the flank. The date exhibits metal flow towards the edge, characteristic of a wrong planchet error, since the undersized flank could not completely fill the dies. Aside from a handful of wrong planchet errors, steel cents were only struck in 1943. The error combination of a steel cent planchet on nickel dies is limited by the year's coinage, and since the error hobby did not exist at that time, no such pieces were set aside except simply by chance. Sold on August 11, 2010 for $14,950 at Heritage Auctions. Here is 1917 Lincoln cent with double die obverse, a beautiful and pristine example of this challenging rarity. The overall pinkish rose coloration reveals a shimmering gold iridescence at a tilt. The fields are blanketed by a dense, matte-like luster, surrounding sharp and fully undisturbed devices. The 1917 FS101 is one of the most pronounced double die obverse varieties in the entire Lincoln cent series, with sharp doubling to the digits in the date and the letters "God We Trust" in the motto. Grade at midday 67 red by PCGS, this highly elusive penny ended up selling for $84,000 in 2018 at Stack's Bowers. This special struck 1964 Roosevelt dime, so-called SMS dime at SP66 grade. Rare satin finish issue, a razor-sharp satin finish premium gem, example of 1964 SMS dime. Special mint cents were issued in place of proof sets from 1965 to 1967. However, in 1990s, a number of 5 coin sets from 1964 surfaced with similar finishes. All coins from these sets are rare. This premium gem SMS dime displays razor-sharp detail and dusting of champagne lavender toning with no surface abrasions. Eye appeal is outstanding. Sold on April 25, 2019 for $10,200 at Heritage Auctions. Here is 2000 Lincoln cent struck on a 2000 dated Sacagawea dollar. Incredible error coin worth a lot of money, graded at midday 66 by PCGS. This is a fascinating example of remarkable double denomination coin. The first strike was normal, resulting in a Sacagawea dollar that is well centered and fully impressed on the correct planchet. The final digit 0 in the date of a dollar is discernible, confirming that it was struck from 2000 dated dies. As a Lincoln cent bears no mint mark, both strikes are presumably attributed to the Philadelphia Mint. Remarkably, this Sacagawea dollar then ended up between cent dies, where it received sharp impressions of both the obverse and reverse. Apparently, this second impression was made in the absence of a color, or the dollar planchet prevented the color from deploying around the anvil die in the normal manner. The Lincoln cent strike is at 530 relative to Sacagawea dollar obverse, and all design elements that are present from both impressions are razor sharp. Sold in 2020 for $38,400 at Stack's Bowers. Moving on to the 1934 D Washington quarter from heavy motto variety. The letters of motto "In God We Trust" are thick and rather flattened on a scarce heavy motto. To further distinguish it from the common medium motto, just look at the center peak of the W in "We". On the heavy motto varieties, the center peak extends above the outer diagonals of the letter. On the medium motto, the center peak is well below the outer diagonals. The surfaces alternate between untoned silver areas and attractive mottled toning in shades of saffron, amber, and russet, the toning deepest on the date and the upper legends on the reverse. Both the profile of Washington and the eagle high points are notably free from mentionable abrasions. Sold on June 6, 2013 for $14,687.50. Here is a coin I put to the thumbnail of this video. I'm sure some of you clicked it just to know more about its very rare beauty. 1955 double die cent at midday 65 with FS101 designation. The 1955 double die is the most dramatic variety within the entire Lincoln series. Doubling on date, motto and liberty is very obvious and can be seen with naked eye. The die rotation is significant enough that casual viewers, even non-collectors, can see the doubling. What's almost universal is the lack of complete mint red on these coins. Most were briefly handled, thus dulling the red luster. However, this is one of the few that retained its mint red, most likely from not being handled as most of others were. The surfaces display even bright color with no obvious abrasions, very rare as such. sold on January 7, 2016 for $37,600 at Heritage Auctions. This is 1895 Berber dime, the rarest Berber issue in mint state. An outstanding condition stands as example of this legendary condition rarity in the Berber dime series. Virtually full in strike and significantly so for issuing mint. Both sides also possess full mint luster in a billowy satin texture. Minimally toned, both sides present as brilliant as most viewing angles. Silky smooth in appearance with eye appeal to spare this coin will do justice to the finest collection of Berber coinage. Sold in 2017 for $42,300 at Stack's Bowers. Moving on to this attractively toned 1956D Roosevelt dime with full bands, graded at mint state 68 by PCGS. Remarkably cherry red and apple green toning consumes the verse of this lustrous and well-struck dime. The reverse displays similar shades, although in more delicate fashion, pristine aside from unobtrusive contact on the portrait. Separation is evident on both bands of reverse torch under close inspection. Sold on January 11, 2019 for $8,400 at Heritage Auctions. And the last one, 1982D small date Lincoln cent struck on a bronze planchet, graded as AU58 brown by NGC, where rare transitional error penny highlights significant coins that will appeal to advanced Lincoln cent collector and mint error enthusiasts alike. It dates to 1982, an important transitional year in the modern Lincoln cent series. Sometime around the middle of that year, the mint stopped using bronze planchets in cent production due to rising costs. As a cost-saving expedient, copper-plated zinc planchets were adopted as a substitute and they remain in use today. The new planchets proved more difficult to strike than their bronze predecessors, however. Whereas planchets composed solely or predominantly of copper could be struck hard and fast to maximize the number of coins produced in a given time period, copper-plated zinc planchets required a slower rate of striking and adequately fill the dies, bring up to full detail on each piece. Slower striking rate resulted in an unacceptable reduction in output, and to overcome this problem the mint was forced to modify the Lincoln cent designs. The alterations were minor and consist of making the digits and the letters in the date, Liberty and the motto "In God We Trust" on the verse smaller and more delicate. They result in a smaller recessed areas of the die to fill during striking, allowing the mint to return to faster press speed. The modified design that the mint prepared for the use with the new copper-plated zinc planchets has become known in numismatic circles as a small date variety. This is technically a misnomer since, as related above, the letters in the word Liberty and the motto "In God We Trust" were also modified. The easiest way to identify a small date variety, nonetheless, is by looking at the digits in the date. On the small date variety, the digit 2 in the date is much farther from the rim than is on the large date variety. Sold in 2017 for $18,800 at Stack's Bowers. And today I will show you highly elusive scars and some very rare US coins that are worth huge money these days. Error coins, key dates, immaculate perfect struck coins, and other highly sought after lots. So make sure to hit subscribe and notification buttons below this video, and let's get started. I would like to start with this rare quarter, 1937 Washington quarter with double die verse, graded at mint state 66 by PCGS, where its strong doubling is noted on the motto and digits of the date. As stated in the 5th edition of Cherry Picker's Guide, this variety is considered one of the most important in the series. This premium gem is one of two certified by either PCGS or NGC. The surfaces are smooth and virtually mark-free, and a bit of soft silver-gray patina has gathered overall. As you know, pre 65 quarters were struck on a 90% silver planchet, so it also adds up to the value. Sold in 2013 for $21,150 at Heritage Auctions. Moving on to this wartime error coin, 1945 P. Jefferson nickel struck on a silver dime planchet. Grade at mint state 64 by PCGS. This issue was intended to be struck on a wartime composition blanks of partial silver, but this example was struck on a dime planchet. Just enough of the date remains on the flank to permit positive identification. Of course, a large P mint mark on the reverse narrows the available choices to a 4-year span. Most of United States of America is absent. The portrait is complete except for the very top of Jefferson Head. Monticello is intact except for the far east border, lustrous and lightly toned with moderate incompleteness of strike at centers and upper reverse border. Sold on August 26, 2022 for $2,640 at Heritage Auctions. This is 1938 O half dime at Mint State 66. O stands for New Orleans Mint. What makes this coin highly demanded is that it was struck without stars surrounding seated Lady Liberty. Only 70,000 pieces were produced in this variant, and this is the single finest certified so far. This is an all-brilliant example with extraordinary mint luster. New Orleans products are often associated with satiny or lackluster surfaces. This coin displays bright, frosted mint luster, sold on October 27, 2014 for $49,937.50 at Heritage Auctions. Here is a special struck 1964 Kennedy half dollar, so-called SMS half dollar. Considered one of the most expensive Kennedy half dollars with only dozen pieces known. The 1964 SMS Kennedy half dollar is struck on a 90% silver planchet from a single pair of dies, showing much sharper detail than the regular issue and having a satiny surface texture. Die markers include on obverse a tiny apostrophe-shaped lump of extra metal protruding from the bottom edge of the crosslet of the 4 in the date, and on the reverse a discernible die polishing line connecting the bottom tip of the lower crossbar of O and the A. And another connecting same crossbar of the half to the rim near the D of dollar. This Super Gem example exhibits all of those markers clearly. It's one of only about a dozen pieces known. Sold on April 25, 2019 for $108,000. This 1951 as Franklin half dollar at Mint State 67 with full bell lines. Splendid orange, gold, lilac red, and lemon yellow toning in those is lustrous superb gem. Hints of sea green and powder blue are also evident in protected regions. The obverse appears pristine, and reverse contact is mostly limited to the lower left portion of the Liberty Bell. Now the term full bell lines pertains to a strong strike, especially on the reverse of a Franklin half dollar, so that the two lines on the bottom of the bell run unbroken to the crack. Sold on October 7, 2020 for $4,800. Here is 1874 big for $10 coin struck on an aluminum planchet. The obverse depicts a bust of Liberty facing left with the legend United States of America above, and the date below. Liberty wears a diadem inscribed with the word Liberty and ornamented with 6 stars. The weight is 16.72 grams, the standard of the metal 900 fine, and the word ubique are centered on the reverse. Around the periphery is the US denomination $10 and its international equivalents, marks, kronen, gulden, and francs. Coin is struck in aluminum with reeded edge. Grade as PR65, cameo by PCGS. This very splendid coin ended up selling for $108,000 in January 2020 at Heritage Auctions. Moving on to this wartime error coin, 1942 dated Walking Liberty struck on a silver quarter planchet. Weight is 6.2 grams. A planchet intended for a silver Washington quarter took wrong paths at the US Mint. The coin was struck aligned with the collar die, or nearly so, at 7 o'clock. Most of the eagle is present, Liberty is missing her head and raised hand. Peripheral legends are distorted from expansion, unrestrained by the collar die. Sold on January 3, 2020 for $18,000 at Heritage Auctions. Here's an error 1972 as Roosevelt dime. double struck both strikes off center, graded as PR65 by NGC. The first strike was off center toward 1:30 and the second strike was off center toward 5 o'clock. Both struck without reading. A substantial portion of the first strike remains, including the ERTI in Liberty, the upper outline of the portrait, and 1 dime. The date and mint mark from the second strike are bold. The second strike resulted in wedge-shaped flange splits at 12 o'clock and 4 o'clock. Relative to the first strike, reddish deposits from the copper core are seen on the reverse border between 12 and 4 o'clocks. The left border shows a broad arc of unstruck surface. Sold on October 7, 2020 for $2,520. A very valuable Lincoln sand, believed to be finest matte-proof Lincoln sand. 1914 Lincoln sand grade as PR68 read by PCGS. Housed in a green label PCGS holder and originating from a 5-coin 1914 proof set, this incredible Lincoln sand is absolutely stunning with flawless surfaces, the finest of its kind. PCGS only certified one other 1914 Lincoln sand as PR68 red. In fact, the only other matte-proof Lincoln sand of any date to receive the PCGS PR68 red grade is a single 1909 example. Only one glance at this amazing coin is required to recognize its unique status among its peers. It's one of the finest surviving matte-proof Lincoln sands. For set registry collectors, there is a single finest matte-proof Lincoln sand currently on the market. Sold in 2008 for $126,500 at Heritage Auctions. I love this one. Rainbow toned 1938 Washington quarter. Also proof coin graded as PR68 plus by NGC. The mint manufactured 8,045 proof Washington quarters in 1938, and this superb gem ranks among the finest certified at NGC and PCGS combined. The outer areas are beautifully toned in multicolor patina that includes the shades of orange, yellow, green, blue, and magenta, while the interiors remain largely brilliant. Sold on October 7, 2022 for $5,280 at Heritage Auctions. And for the last is impressive 1984 Lincoln sand with double die of verse, graded at MISTAY68, read by PCGS. What you have to look for in your 1984 pennies for double die elements are Lincoln's ear, lower beard, and the bow tie. This is a virtually pristine champagne origin example that shows minor pimpling in the fields, but absolutely no post-striking flaws on either side. It was sold in 2009 for $3,910 at Heritage Auction. Thanks for watching guys, your subscriptions and likes are highly appreciated. See you in the next episode. Bye. Another episode featuring valuable US coins. Today I'm going to show you 11 highly sought after US coins worth thousands of dollars, dimes, pennies, quarters, and other small and large denomination coins. So make sure to hit subscribe and bell buttons below this video, and let's get started. Starting with this incredible error coin, 1999 D Roosevelt dime broadly struck on a cent planchet, grade at MISTAY64 brown by PCGS, a dramatic error that accentuates the fact that the planchet was incorrect by the broad struck features. The devices are generally sharp, although some of the peripheral letterings display the distortions caused by expansion of the planchet during the strike. The traces of zinc alloy are seen in a few places on a verse and reverse. Sold on August 20, 2021 for $7,500 at Heritage Auctions. Moving on to this double denomination or mule error coin, 1995 Roosevelt dime struck with cent of verse die, grade at MISTAY64 by NGC, an astounding mint error that prior to the 1990s was believed impossible to occur. Only the narrow difference in the die diameter between the cent and die makes it plausible that a busy mint worker could erroneously pair dies of different denominations. Most likely a press run was made from this die pairing and detected by an inspector, possibly the operator of a mint press. Perhaps the entire batch was melted aside from the present coin. This satin-in-ear gem displays the characteristics expected of a dime struck with a coin of verse type. The obverse has only partial rim, in God we trust, and the L in liberty are tight against the border. This is because the dime planchet was less in diameter than the cent die. On the same die, the border displays minor softness of strike, principally on ES of AM. This was partially due to die alignment, but also because of metal flow of the planchet towards the collar to feel unexpectedly wide cent of verse type. The strike on the cent is sharp except for minor incompleteness on truncation of Lincoln's bust near VDB initials. Sold on January 7th, 2010 for $57,500 at Heritage Auctions. Here is 1964 proof Kenny Dolph dollar, so-called accented hair variety. The accented hair variety displays extra hair right above the Kennedy's ear, as opposed to a regular coin which will have less hair above the ear. The accented hair variant of 1964 proof Kenny Dolph dollar is significantly scarcer in higher grade than the normal hair coin. In PR68 Ultra Cameos, accented hair issued is decidedly rare and just 2 pieces are listed, numerically finer at NGC. These pieces brilliant and nearly flawless, showing stark white on black contrast and deeply mirrored fields. Sold on June 2nd, 2020 for $14,400 at Heritage Auctions. This is 1954 Lincoln cent at Midday 67 red. Glowing tangerine orange surfaces reveal deeper amber hues in selected areas on this superb gem. The fields are silky smooth and deliver a proof-like complexion, framing impressively sharp design elements. Incredibly attractive and essentially flawless, with a generous mintage of over 71 million circulation strikes. The 1954 is obviously a plentiful issue in an absolute sense, with the extraordinary quality and eye appeal that it possesses. However, the present example is decidedly rare from a condition standpoint. It ranks among the very best certified by PCGS with non-finer in any category. So this superb gem ended up selling for $23,400 in 2020 at Stack's Bowers. Here is an intriguing transitional error coin, 1977D Washington quarter, struck on a silver-clad planchet. Although the 1977D Washington quarter is a copper-nickel clad issue, this piece was erroneously struck on a silver-clad planchet, that's 40% silver planchet, used for some of San Francisco Mint's bicentennial issues of 1976. A pleasing and very rare mint state example, both sides exhibit pale silver tinting to sharply struck and softly lustrous surfaces. Sold at Winter 2022 auction of Stack's Bowers for $12,000. Jumping onto this 2007 presidential dollar coin, struck on a Jefferson nickel, otherwise double denomination coin. Grade at Midday 64 by PCGS, the dollar strike was a few degrees off center toward 1230, which allows glimpses of Jefferson nickel undertype below the President 1789, and above the torch and of AM. The Washington Porter is complete, but United and George Washington are partial. Paint gold toning visits unabraded semi-proof-like surfaces. Sold on January 6, 2016 for $17,625 at Heritage Auctions. This is 1916D Mercury dime at Midday 67 with full bands or full torch designation. The full bands designation is granted to Mercury dimes in which the central middle set of bands show a complete split in the middle. Among regular issue US 20th century coins, the 1916D has a remarkable low mintage of only 264,000 pieces. Only a few other key dates issues have similar or lower mintage, and all are rarities in high demand. Both sides of this coin are alive with mint frost that shimmers beneath rich orange, gold, olive, and blue-gray toning. Every feature is fully struck, and the all-important central bands are razor-sharp. The surfaces are smooth enough to suggest an even higher grade. Sold on August 12, 2010 for $195,500 at Heritage Auctions. Yet another error coin, 1979p Anthony dollar, struck on a 1978 Jefferson nickel. A fascinating and exceedingly rare double denomination error. The smaller nickel planchet took only part of Anthony dollar design. The borders and upwards of half of the peripheral device of the flange. Enough of the date is present to readily confirm the 1979 attribution, and the P mint mark is clear. Also the clear is the undertype, much of Monticello discernible over Anthony's portrait, while on the reverse a partially outlined Jefferson portrait from the nickel is evident. Closer inspection reveals only the bottom loop of the digit 8 in the date of nickel, just below the letter E in America and in an Anthony dollar design. Both sides are brilliant with a bright, satiny, virtually pristine appearance. Grade at Mistake 67, this incredible error coin ended up selling for $15,275 at Stack's Powers. Here is very rare 1922 Lincoln cent with missing mint mark D and strong reverse design. Grade at Mistake 64, brown by PCGS. This is a near gem example of the sought after 1922 cent variety, with a strong reverse and absolutely no trace of mint mark on obverse. Glossy chocolate brown surfaces display cherry red accents around the devices and steel blue in the fields. Obverse design definition is typically mushy, but the devices are unworn. Sold on January 14, 2022 for $43,200 at Heritage Auctions. Moving on to this 1921 piece dollar at Mistake 67 Plus, very rare with such high relief. Extremely beautiful iridescent toning in pastel pink, gold, apricot, powder blue, and olive graces the surfaces of this extraordinary high relief piece dollar. Both sides are frosty, exceptionally smooth, and very close to superb gem quality. The strike is far superior to what is typically seen in survivors of this challenging issue. Sold in 2024 for $28,800 at Stack's Powers. Here is one of the most expensive Roosevelt dimes sold at auctions. 1975 proof 10 cent at PR 68 grade. It's missing its mint mark S, which stands for San Francisco Mint. There are only two 1975 no S proof dimes known. Listed in the first plate in this third edition of 100 Greatest US Modern Coins, the 1975 no S proof Roosevelt dime is one of the rarest issues in all of American coinage. Only two examples are known to collectors today, as I mentioned before, and they have been tightly held by just a few owners in the 40 plus years since their discovery. One lucky California collector ordered 5 proof sets from US Mint in 1975. Miraculously, she noticed that 2 of sets contained proof dimes with no mint mark. She submitted one of the coins to Coin World Collectors Clearinghouse in July 1977 and later had both coins certified by ANEX. ANEX announced certification of one of other coins in January 1978, and Coin World published the first article about the coins in February 22nd edition, causing much excitement in the numismatic community. Collectors have been diligently examining their 1975 proof sets ever since, but so far no more 1975 no S dimes have been discovered. The coin offered here is a stunning PR68 example with fully struck design elements and deeply reflective fields on both sides. The virtually pristine surfaces are blanketed in attractive shades of cerulean blue and pale jade toning. Overall eye appeal is terrific. Sold in 2019 for almost $500,000 in 2019 at Heritage Auctions. Bitcoin collectors, today I'll talk about valuable and highly elusive Lincoln cents from 90s. While displaying the circulated specimens as a requisites, we will find out their mintage, current value at higher grades, and have a look at expensive specimens that sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars at different auctions. So hit subscribe and bell buttons below this video and let's get started. 1994 is a very good year for Lincoln pennies. Other than color varieties, it features highly sought after double die reverse variant. But first, let's start with regular struck pennies. There were over 6.5 billion 1994 P Lincoln cents struck for circulation. Therefore, obtaining an example should be very easy. The only condition where it becomes scarce is in MS68 or higher. At Mistake 68 they are worth over $275 as for PCGS price guide. The highest graded specimen is at Mistake 69 with non-finer but haven't been sold yet. Now back to double die reverse. Here's the most expensive lot of varieties so far. 1994 Lincoln Cent at Midday 66 red with FS 801 designation, a lustrous pinkish red gem with none but a few extremely minor blemishes scattered about. First reported by James Mataliano, this DDR of the 1994 Lincoln Cent exhibits pronounced doubling to the final three columns of the Lincoln Memorial. But it's very challenging to see with naked eye, so you'll need some magnification tool, loop or high definition camera for examining your pennies for double-dyed columns. This top of a pop specimen was sold for $2,875 in 2010 at Stack's Bowers. The 1991 P Lincoln Cent is fairly common up to about MS67 condition. Anything grading MS68 or higher is considered scarce and very valuable. For instance, this is 1991 Red Lincoln Cent graded at Midday 68 Plus by PCGS, sold on April 30th, 2017 for $1,116.25 at Heritage Auctions. But the pinnacle among 1991 pennies is this Denver Struck Cent, grade at Midday 69 red by PCGS, the ultimate grade for registry set collectors. This is one of just 3 1991 D Lincoln Cent certified MS69 red, separating this piece from millions of lower grade coins available. Sold on February 25th, 2022 for $11,400. Now the 1999 issue has some quite dramatic price tags. I'll talk about some little later, just bear with me. Philadelphia Mint struck more than 5 billion examples in 1999. Circulated and lower mint state pennies are in abundance out there. Even at Midday 60, 2 points less than perfect condition. They are worth $100 give it or take. What is likely to make big money among these pennies is wide AM variety. The clause or wide AM refers to distance between A and M in America on struck coins. When the A and M are normal distance apart as compared to other letters in America, this is known as a wide AM. This is an intriguing modern variety that is extremely scarce and rarely offered. The reverse die with AM widely spaced was intended for proof coinage, but somehow number of Philadelphia Mint coins were struck for circulation using these dies. They are very rare in such high grade, and PCGS has graded about 1,000 in all grades. However, this MS68 red is the sole finest graded by PCGS. Sold in 2020 for $4,582.50 at legendary coin auctions. But ultimate pinnacle is his error, 1999 Lincoln Cent. Lincoln Cent of worst die molded with Roosevelt dime reverse on a Lincoln Cent planchet. Grade at Midday 66 read by PCGS. This incredible error somehow escaped the scrutiny of Mint employees. Only 7 double denomination mules had been certified by November 2003. Interestingly, the consignor of this piece also owns 2 of these coins, a 1993 D cent dime on a cent planchet and a 1995 cent dime on a dime planchet. The obverse is sharply struck on figure of Lincoln and date, although the opposing dime die, being slightly smaller than the cent planchet, caused minor peripheral weakness on the obverse. In other words, nothing behind the periphery of the cent die to force expanding metal into recesses. Sold on April 29, 2006 for $138,000 at Heritage Auctions. Now when it comes to proof pennies of 1999, they are struck with Mint Mark S, which stands for San Francisco Mint. They on the contrary get good value in case they have close AM on reverse. Let's take this 1999 S penny, for example. Grade as PR69 Deep Cameo by PCGS, virtually flawless with Georgia's copper orange surfaces and amazing eye appeal. When the A and M are almost touching like on these splendid coins, this is known as close AM. Top-notch quality for this recent variety created from proof and business struck die confusions, which ended up selling for $1,035 in 2008 at Heritage Auctions. In 1993, US Mint produced more than 6 billion Lincoln cents. in Denver and over 5 billion in Philadelphia. It's pretty clear that the mintage is huge and they are easy to locate at lower mint state grades. But finding superb gem like this one at mint state 69 can be challenging. A low pop condition rarity is that sports satiny, virtually pristine surfaces on both sides. Otherwise pinkish red in shade, the luster assumes swirls of lilac, rose color in the center that provides a simply lovely look. Sold in 2010 for $4,600 at Stack's Bowers. When it comes to Philadelphia struck 1993 pennies, this must be the most expensive one. Also graded at mint state 69 by NGC, it ended up selling for $3,375 this year in an eBay auction. And here is an error variant that can make you hundreds of dollars if you find one like this. 1993 Lincoln cent overstruck on a Roosevelt dime. Graded at mint state 65 by PCGS. Letterings of overtype are fully struck, though the 9 of the date is little bit distorted due to high points of undertype. Sold in 2013 for $646.25 at Stack's Bowers. Most Lincoln cents minted in 1990s are very common since they were struck in large quantities. The 1996 Lincoln cent is no exception, as the mint struck over 6.6 billion examples. Therefore, finding an example in circulation should be fairly easy. Only examples in MS68 or higher are scarce. Anything grading lower than MS68 should be relatively easy to find or to purchase inexpensively. The most expensive regular penny of that year was showcased online. This Lincoln cent at mint state 68 plus condition was bargained for $2,500 in an online auction. But I also have to show you this double denomination coin. 1996 Lincoln cent struck on a 1995 dime at mint state 62. An unusual error, one showing two different dates and two distinct designs. Lustrous nickel gray with light golden toning and good cartwheel on both sides. Some minor hairlines account for a side grade. The cent of worth is aligned to the dime reverse with only light rotation, perhaps 30 degrees. The 6 of the cent date is visible at the base of ME of dime, and the 5 of cent date, though not fully defined, is able to be easily identified at E of cent. Sold in 2006 for $4,025 at Stack's Bowers. Finding one in circulation up to MS64 condition should be easy. Only in MS68 condition or higher are they considered scarce. Here is 1998 Lincoln cent at mint state 69 red. Superb gem with vibrant luster and razor sharp strike. Sold on December 19, 2021 for $2,220 at Heritage Auctions. Moving on to this proof coin of 1998, graded as PR70 Red Deep Cameo. Absolute perfect condition with strong contrast between high design elements and mirror-like fields. Exoclose AM, a characteristic of the business track dies, was used on a small minority of proof dies in 1998, creating this sought-after variety. This is a perfect orange-red, thoroughly contrasted example showing absolutely no trace of carbon or other impairment. Sold in 2014 for $4,406.25 at Heritage Auctions. This is it, COİN guys. Today's episode features highly elusive and valuable US coins that make good premium at auctions. Really quick, if you're first time on our channel, please hit subscribe and notification buttons below to get daily updates on coin prices. Starting with this beautifully toned 1938 Jefferson nickel, graded at mint state 68 plus FS by PCGS. FS stands for full steps, term applied to a Jefferson 5-cent piece when 5 or 6 steps of Monticello are present. This first-year Denver issue is highly sought after in high grade, but full steps examples are scarce, finer than MS66 and rare in MS68. This is a sole plus graded MS68 full steps coin at PCGS, making it the single finest certified at the service. Pristine lustrous surfaces yield dusky amber gold toning with iridescent wisps throughout. Delineation of 5 steps visible under close inspection. This splendid gem was sold for $33,600 on July 15, 2022. Here is a pretty cool looking error coin, 1971 S Eisenhower dollar, overstruck on a San Francisco SA office medal. I'm sure most of you know how Eisenhower dollar looks like, but this is appearance of aforementioned San Francisco medal. A bronze San Francisco SA office medal was used as a host for this rare of metal Eisenhower dollar. Much of the undertype is evident, including the Department of Treasury 1789 on the verse and CAL on the reverse, west of the lowered wing. The orange, red and lilac color is pleasing and comprehensive. The host was slightly less in diameter than an Ike dollar, demonstrated by outward metal flow on In God We Trust and United, likely a unique copper Ike of nearly full diameter and highly desirable as such. Moving on to this 1914D Lincoln cent at Midday 66 red. The 1914D is one of the premier keys to the Lincoln cent series, boasting one of the lowest mint rates in the set with less than 1.2 million coins struck. In fact, this early Denver mint issue is considerably more challenging in high grades than more famous 1909 SVDB. The most mint state survivors show up in MS63 and MS64 in the brown and red and brown categories. Fully red coins are much scarcer, only a dozen are graded MS66 red at PCGS and NGC combined, with non-numerically finer. This strongly struck premium gem features bold detail on Lincoln's hair and beard. The legends on both sides and reverse wheat stalks are similarly razor sharp. Satiny luster glows from finely textured copper orange surfaces. Only a few microscopic carbon spots are noted. Sold on August 24, 2022 for $72,000 at Heritage Auctions. Another Jefferson Nickel 1964 D5 cent was repunched mint mark error. Grade at Midday 66 with FS 501 designation by PCGS. PCGS has only attributed 8 examples of cherry pickers variety, which shows the mint mark repunch south. The repunching is clear with a loop, but may escape detection by unaided eye. This representative is tied with one other as the finest FS 501 coin at PCGS. Each side is brilliant and satiny with slight reflectivity discerned in the fields. A few tiny marks are not bothersome. Although the steps of Monticello exhibit typical softness, this coin is otherwise well struck and pleasing. Sold on July 14, 2022 for $19,800. Here is 1969's Lincoln cent with double die obverse, graded at Midday 64 with FS 101 designation by PCGS. The die doubling is not quite as dramatic as it is on the 1955 double die cent, but 1969's variety is significantly rarer. Whatever the true survival rate, the 1969's double die cent is undeniably rare in all grades, and full red examples are without objection the most difficult to acquire. PCGS and NGC combined list only a dozen red grading events. This near gem red example is within the condition census of known examples. A sharp strike complements satiny copper orange luster, while a few flecks and minor marks serve as pedigree markers. Eye appeal is excellent. Sold on May 5, 2022 for $49,200 at Heritage Auctions. This is 1968 proof Roosevelt dime at PR68 cameo condition. What makes this coin valuable and rare is the absence of mint mark S denoting San Francisco Mint. San Francisco Mint took over a proof set production in 1968 after conclusion of special mint set experiment from 1965 to 1967. However, unlike the SMS coins, proof coins of 1968 were produced with mint marked dies. Thus, it's an error that some dimes were struck with the dies that lacked the appropriate S mint mark, which should have been applied at the engraving department in Philadelphia before the die was shipped to the West Coast. Each side is pristine and starkly contrasted, yielding bright white on black contrast. Sold on July 14, 2022 for $22,200. I'm sure you'll like this one. 1937 D Buffalo Nickel at Midday 66, a very rare 3-legged buffalo variety. The 3-legged buffalo nickel is definitely a coin variety with the potential of capturing attention and aspirations of many collectors. 1937D three-leg buffalo nickel was created by a clashing of dies without a blank planchet between the obverse and reverse dies. After the dies clashed, inexperienced mint employee by the name Mr. Young used an emery stick to try and polish off the clashing evidence instead of switching the dies, which would have been more appropriate procedure. Due to the over-polishing of the dies, Mr. Young accidentally removed the details of the bison's front right leg from the reverse die. Therefore, any coin struck from the dies will be missing one of the bison's legs on the reverse design. This is how three-leg buffalo nickel came into existence. The current offering must be among the most eye-appealing of those coins. Lovely mint luster flows over amber olive surfaces that only show a single minor abrasion just below the Indian's hairline. Sold on August 24th, 2022 for $30,000 at Heritage Auctions. I'm sure some of you clicked this video after seeing this relatively modern penny on a thumbnail. Presenting you 2001D Lincoln set milled with Roosevelt dime reverse. Grade at midday 65 read by PCGS. In numismatics, a mill is a coin or medal minted with obverse and reverse designs not normally seen on the same piece. This can be intentional or produced by an error. It mostly happens in those cases when coins have slightly different or same sizes, like penny and dime. Among the many mill possibilities in American numismatics, the Lincoln cent Roosevelt dime mill is most likely to occur. The diameters for cent, which is 19 mm, and the dime, which is 18 mm, are close, and both types have high annual mintage of over 1 billion or more pieces. More likely than not, the three known 2001D cent dime mills were struck on the same day from the same milled die pair. On the present coin, the dime reverse has a broad rim with the three concentric levels. The inner and outer levels are raised, and the middle level is recessed. The wider rim on the reverse is due to the narrow diameter of the dime die. We trust is faint as in the first L in Liberty. The Lincoln bust truncation shows incompleteness of strike. These characteristics are also due to the smaller dime die. Sold on August 24, 2022 for $66,000 at Heritage Auctions. Here's another error Eisenhower dollar, 1972 S dollar double struck, both strikes off center. An off-center coin is produced when the coin is struck, albeit off-center. Unlike a broad strike, the punch is not in the center of a coin, but rather the edge. This results in a coin which is not in circular shape. In this proof coin, both strikes are approximately 10% off center toward 5 o'clock. Most of the legends are present, though the bottom of the 972 in the date, the top of Y in Liberty, and the tops of America are absent. Evidence of the first strike is ample, since generous portions of Liberty and $1 remain from both strikes. The second strike was slightly south of the first strike relative to obverse. A broad, unstruck arc is centered at 10 o'clock. The virtually flawless surfaces are intricately struck and displayed delicate lavender toning. Sold on August 24, 2022 for $13,800 at Heritage Auctions. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, please hit thumbs up and subscription buttons below this video. Coin collectors, today we are going to look into 10 extra rare US coins worth big money. Some of them are pretty modern, can be in your pocket change. Some of them at superb gem condition, others significantly circulated but showcased for unsinkable amounts at Heritage Auctions. So hit subscribe button below this video and let's get started. This is 1953 Jefferson nickel graded at mint state 66 FS by PCGS. Only 4 points prevent this coin from perfect numismatic grade due to several wispy ticks, some softness and other factors. FS designation stands for full steps. Full steps is a grading designation used for circulation struck Jefferson nickels which have at least 5 full steps visible at the base of Monticello on reverse. So the designation is used to identify coins which have been fully struck. PCGS lists only 29 submissions of full steps 1953 S nickels, the finest being 2 MS66 specimens, one of which is offered here. This piece displays satiny luster with a hint of light champagne toning. Moderate dye erosion is apparent, causing metal flow lining in the margins. but the steps of Monticello are sharply defined. Sold on August 24, 2022 for $16,800 at Heritage Auctions. Moving on to this relatively modern statehood quarter 2004 D 25 cents with Wisconsin State reverse. Now, other than regular struck 25 cents, Wisconsin quarters has two varieties with additional device elements, so-called extra corn leaf on reverse design. On regular quarter you won't see this leaf, meaning they will be worth just quarter. On the other two we have extra leaf in different positions, low and high. So most valuable specimens sold at Heritage Auctions had extra leaf position low, on husk of the corn. According to cherry pickers, the artifact resulted when a tool with a rounded edge was deliberately impressed into the working die. The leaf was not part of original design. This delightful super gem is sharply detailed, impeccably preserved and fully lustrous with outstanding eye appeal. Sold on January 9, 2020 for $6,000. Extra leaf high variant is also scarce and can make up to $2,500 if at higher mint state. These varieties were discovered late in December 2004 by Robert Ford. Immediately the discovery of the coins broke out in the news and people all over the US were out searching for them. Jaime Hernandez from PCGS quotes, "In fact, I recall my wife, two sons, aged 3 and 5, and my 1-year-old daughter at the time, getting in the family car and traveling for radius about 75 miles, trying to stop at every major bank. We were hoping to find some of these new varieties in rolls or in change. Later, it was confirmed that most coins were being found in Tucson and San Antonio areas only." End of quote. Here is 1981 S Susan B. Anthony dollar at Mistake 67+. This coin is super rare at given grade, while NGC has certified 9 examples in MS67, and PCGS adds 3 more at Z grade level. The present super gem is the only one of the dozen coins that's graded MS67+. Neither service has examined a finer example. This extraordinary piece features a bold stripe, reflective fields, and brilliant lustrous surfaces. Sold on October 7, 2022 for $21,600 at Heritage Auctions. Moving on to this wartime error penny, 1944 Lincoln cent struck on zinc-coated steel planchet instead of bronze. As you can see, it's significantly damaged and corroded coin, therefore given no Sheldon scale grade by ANAX. But it displays extremely fine details, a collectible example of the well-known transitional alloy error. Lincoln cents were struck in zinc-plated steel in 1943 only, then reverted to bronze alloy in 1944. A small number of 1944 cents were inadvertently struck on leftover zinc-plated steel planchets. PCGS estimates 25 to 30 1944 Philadelphia Steely survivors. This coin has a rim knock at 10 o'clock on the reverse, and a pair of small white obverse spots, one on the forehead and the other on the field east to the chin. The reverse has a dark area near the rim at 8 o'clock. Luster outlines the legends, and primarily lavender gray surfaces display olive green hues near the border. It ended up selling for $11,700 in 2022 at Heritage Auctions. This is 1936 Wisconsin half dollar at Mistake 68. Wisconsin Territory was established on July 3, 1836. The centennial of Wisconsin Territory coincided with flood of other commemorative coin schemes issued in 1936. The present pristine example displays splendid orange, red, magenta and the forest green peripheral patina. The strike is sharp except on the base of pickaxe. If you have this coin at a circulated condition, have it graded, and if it's MS68, it can make you over $4,000. This particular example was sold for $4,320 on October 7, 2022, also at Heritage Auctions. One of my favorite US coins, 2000p Sacagawea dollar at Mistake 68, so-called Cheerios variety, which was discovered in box of General Mills cereal, where for time the new Sacagawea dollars were intermittently included as a promotional gimmick. The variety is quite scarce in high grade and is identified by examining the eagle's tail feathers, which show fine rib detailing, compared to smooth tail feathers on the regular issue coin. These lofty MS68 graded examples displays pristine surfaces and medium brass gold color. Includes the original 2000 Lincoln cent that accompanied the dollar in cereal box. Graded MS66 red by PCGS. Sold on August 26, 2022 for $12,600. Here is 1918-1917 D Buffalo nickel, so-called overdate Buffalo at mint stage 64, provided with CAC sticker for Excelsior. As clearly seen from the date, 8 is struck over the numeral 7. Such overdated dies were created as a result of hobbing errors that occurred in late 1917. A working die was impressed with a hub, dated 1917, and subsequently given another impression from a hub dated 1918. The overdate feature is sharp and clear on the piece, and the diagnostic crack at the hair braid, leading slightly downward on the Indian jaw, is clear as well. Vivid multicolored toning appears on each side, including sun gold, lilac, peach, and sea green hues. Only minor struck softness is seen in the centers and on the tip of the upper feather, and there are no distracting abrasions. CAC endorsement adds even more to the appeal. Sold on August 24, 2022 for $90,000 at Heritage Auctions.
7D Buffalo Nickel. This is a 64 CAC endorsed, great looking coin. I'm at 65,000 now, 70,000.
Moving to another wartime penny, 1943 D over D Lincoln cent. So what makes this coin valuable and scarce is not that it was struck on wrong planchet. We know that during World War II, pennies were struck on zinc-coated steel planchets to conserve copper for the war effort. Then why the heck it's worth thousands of dollars, you may ask? It's rare because it comes with repunch mint mark. The mint mark was the last feature added to the dies used in coinage. On this particular die, the mint mark was first punched in too low and too close to Lincoln's coat, and then was repunched in the proper position, resulting in a dramatic doubled mint mark variety, classified as FS 501 in popular Cherry Picker's Guide. This repunched mint mark is extremely tough to locate. This variety will be very easily to sell at a significant premium. The present coin is a plus-graded superb gem with sharply detailed design elements throughout. The virtually flawless surfaces show a few spots of amber toning on the reverse, and a vibrant mint luster on both sides. Eye appeal is outstanding, and high quality within the grade is confirmed by CAC. Sold on August 26, 2022 for $12,600. Here is 1872 CC seated dollar, circulated and clean coin with AU details. Very rare Carson City issue. Carson City seated dollar issue has a tiny mintage of just 3,150 pieces. Most survivors are in well circulated grades. The present coin is close to mint state in terms of sharpness, with wear difficult to discern on high points. Deep bands of navy blue and russet brown toning surround frosty centers. Marks are minimal. The surfaces are slightly glossy but acceptable to most collectors. Sold on October 7, 2022 for $10,200 at Heritage Auctions. And for the last, this error nickel sold for quite large amount of money. Just a couple of weeks ago, 1983 P. Jefferson nickel struck on a copper planchet. Grade at mint stage 65 red by PCGS. Jefferson nickels are generally nickel gray, while this one is copper red, as it was impressed on blank intended for Lincoln cents of that year, a slip-up which took place at Philadelphia Mint. Due to slight size differences, letterings are not fully struck around the left flank. Sold on October 10, 2022 for $3,120 at Heritage Auctions. That's all for today. If you found this information helpful, a thumbs up and subscription will be much appreciated. Guys, in this video we are going to look into 8 extremely valuable and highly elusive US coins you should know about. Some of them from low mintage key dates, some of them incredible error coins, others were rare at certain mint states. So hit subscribe button below this video and let's get started. Starting with this 1954 Franklin half dollar at mint stage 67 with full bell lines. This is one of the highest graded Bugs Bunny varieties provided with CAC sticker, the finest reported by PCGS. We may ask what is meant by Bugs Bunny half dollar. Bugs Bunny is a nickname for a die clash that appears across Benjamin Franklin's mouse on a half dollars, giving him the appearance of having a buck teeth. The die clash is damage to the die from its hitting the opposing die without a planchet between them. In MS-67, this piece is sold fine as full bell lines examples that PCGS has certified. Full bell lines pertains to a strong strike, especially on the reverse of a Franklin half dollar, so that two lines on the bottom of the bell run unbroken to the crack. Lovely lavender, blue, gold, and cottonwood green toning adorns each side with frosty luster shining through. The preservation is nearly flawless. It was sold on October 16, 2020 for $9,600 at Heritage Auctions. Moving on to this 1918 S Mercury dime, which was graded at Mint State 67 with full bands designation, one of the two fine pieces known. Like most of early Mercury dimes, the 1918 S is not really rare in circulated grades. In Mint State, this is rare issue, with or without fully struck crossbands. About 35% of Mint State survivors have full bands. Gem MS-65 or better full band specimens are very rare, while at Mint State 67 they are almost unheard of. When it comes to full bands designation, the bands of Mercury dime are found within the design element, serving as a main reverse device that resembles a bundle of sticks, an axe wrapped within a vines of olive leaves. Binding all these elements together are the bands, which are shown as three sets of twin belts. The full bands designation is granted to Mercury dimes, in which the central set of bands shows a complete split in the middle. So this wonderful piece ended up selling for $144,000 in 2019 at Heritage Auctions. You don't want to miss this. 1992 Lincoln Cent, minted in Philadelphia. Grade at Mint State 67 red, a closed AM variety. So what's the story behind this closed or wide AM sync? The Mint introduced a new reverse for the Lincoln Cent in 1993 that showed the A and the M in America closely spaced at their bases instead of separated as in years past. However, beginning in 2006, sharp-eyed numismatists began to discover rare transitional 1992 and 1992 D cents struck by reverse dies intended for 1993. These closed AM cents have occasionally surfaced in circulation and bankrolls over the last decade. Both are rare varieties, but the Philadelphia variant is rarest. This coin showcases virtually flawless, gleaming surfaces with rich gold, fiery orange, and rose red hues. The struck is sharp, and there are no carbon spots. It is nearly 19-degree clockwise rotation of reverse. Sold on January 5, 2017 for $25,850 at Heritage Auctions. Here is attractively toned 1940 Jefferson nickel at PR 68 grade, struck by reverse die intended for 1938. Ice blue, pink magenta, and apricot colors endorse this well-struck and seemingly unimprovable PR 68 specimen. Even close examination with loupe fails to reveal any marks, hairlines, spots, or other distractions on either side. An amazingly original piece, according to Ron Goss and Bill Gale in their 2000 edition of United States proof sets and mint sets. The reverse of 1938 is currently approximately 50 times rarer than reverse of 1940 variety. Nice rainbow toning impacts the eye appeal, so it automatically increases the value. Sold on September 18, 2020 for $26,400 at Heritage Auctions. Jumping onto these 1872 Liberty Eagle or $10, graded at Mint State 64 with proof-like designation and provided with CAC sticker for Excelsior. This is the sole finest example known of 1872, and it's the only example of the date classified as proof-like by either PCGS or NGC. In fact, it is not only proof-like in the field, but frosted, sharply struck device produced definitive cameo contrast on both sides, such that at first glance this coin might be mistaken for a proof. Examination of die characteristics, including date, placement, confirmed that the Warren Miller coin is in fact a circulation strike, and the most perfect, well-preserved, and eye-catching circulation strike of that we have seen among Liberty Gold Eagles of this era. Contains 90% gold, 10% copper, and weight is 16.72 grams. Sold on August 24, 2022 for $162,000 at Heritage Auctions.
I need you back in with a little bit more for 140,000. Answer with 140,000. Or it's going to be fair warning here at 135,000 unless I...
Moving on to this 1969S Lincoln with double die obverse. Grade at Mistake 64 red and brown by PCGS. Also CAC approved. Although the 1955 double die cents are the most famous double dies in the series, the 1969S double die cents are far rarer and more elusive. The 1969S double die cents for many years saw their price and collectability depressed by a couple of factors. Main factor is the extremely common strike doubled 1969S cents, which can be found even today by the roll in uncirculated condition with little effort. Strike double pieces or cents with mechanical doubling show doubling on the mint mark as well as other areas and are only worth face value. On the true double die 1969S cents, the mint mark was added after the repeated hop squeezed required to produce a working die resulted in a die doubling. So mint mark is not doubled. So this extremely elusive numismatic pinnacle ended up selling for $80,500 in 2020 at Heritage Auctions. Yet another super rare Lincoln penny 1924S at Mistake 65 red. From a reduced mintage of just under 11.7 million pieces, Mistake coins of any grade are difficult to come by and well struck. Original red examples of that date are scarce as hen's teeth. Offered here is one of the few gem red 1924S cents yet certified. The surfaces exhibit beautiful sunset orange accents and are uncommonly bold for the issue. A few flecks of carbon on Lincoln's shoulder only verifies the originality of this high-quality representative. Based on population figures, unimprovable quality for one of the most challenging Lincoln issues in entire series. Sold on August 24, 2022 for $45,600, also at Heritage Auctions. And the last one, this super valuable lot of Stax Bowers. 1924 piece dollar at Mistake 67 plus. CAC approved. Piece dollars are very rare at that high grade. This intensely lustrous, richly frosted example possesses an outstanding quality and surface preservation in an example of this underrated Philadelphia Mint piece dollar issue. Both sides are brilliant, with full strike and exceptionally smooth appearance that borders on pristine. Also often grouped with 1922, 1923 and 1925 as one of 4 most common silver dollars of this type. 1924 is scarcer than those other issues in attractive mint state preservation. As a solidly graded premium quality superb gem, the coin offered here is nothing short of rare from condition standpoint. Worthy of inclusion in the finest type or date set, sold on April 5th, 2022 for $38,400 at Stax Bowers. That's all for today. Hope you found this information helpful. Thumbs up and subscription will be much appreciated. And if you have such rare and valuable US coins, you can post them for sale on our website, thecoiners.com. Coin collectors, in this episode I'll show you 8 super rare and valuable US coins that you can retire from, highly elusive pinnacles in numismatics. Some of them can be in your pocket change or in closets full with old stuff inherited from your parents or grandparents. Today some of them make hundreds of thousands of dollars at different auctions like Heritage Auctions, Stax Bowers and etc. So hit subscribe and notification buttons below this video and let's get started. An intriguing variety and exceedingly rare coin that stands tall among most Lincoln cents, 1958 penny with double die obverse. Indeed, this is one of the most significant Lincoln cents of any variety. A particularly strong double die in 20th century US coinage series. All types included. The spread to the doubling is wide and pronounced on the letters in the word liberty and the motto in God we trust. Less pronounced doubling is also evident on digits in the date, particularly the 8. The satin finish with full light rose luster, a touch of haziness to the obverse seems to be only feature precluding a full gem rating. Believe it or not, but this rare gem made someone $336,000 in stacks powers in 2008.
Hey, how about this one? How about the 44S? This one, a Mint State 6. Are you kidding me? This is like 002.
Moving on to this wartime penny, 1944S steel Lincoln cent. What makes this coin valuable is that it was struck on zinc-coated steel planchet instead of copper zinc. The 1944 steel cents were of metal errors apparently created via the same mechanism as the 1943 copper cents, when a smattering of leftover blank planchets from the previous year remained in mint tote bins or hoppers as the new year turned. Although the 1943 copper cents have seen the lion's share of publicity over the years, the 1944 steel cents are nearly as rare but less well known. This premium gem, graded by PCGS 1944S steel cent, shows remarkable preservation and splendid luster throughout both sides, a coin that has clearly been well taken care of over the years. Neither side shows any mentionable contact marks or post-mint distractions. The high points display a bit of golden patinas throughout the centers of each side. The mint mark is large and well formed. Tiny bits of extra metal protrude from the left vertex of the first four and from its right base. The strike is surprisingly sharp. It was sold for $408,000 in 2021 at heritage auctions. Yet another super rare error coin, 2000p Sacagawea dollar milled with statehood quarter. This is a holy grail of US mint errors. First discovery was made in May 2000 by Frank Wallace of Mountain Home, Arkansas, in a roll of ordinary Sacagawea dollars. It's result of another crazy slip-up made by Mint. The Washington quarter of worst die, according to the story, was duly installed into the coinage press and mated with Sacagawea dollar reverse die, along with proper plain-edge dollar color. At some point this error was discovered. The Mint source supposed that 3 total beans of finished Sacagawea dollars were destroyed. The beans that produced the mill strikes and the beans on either side of the press. Any effort to destroy all of the errors failed, as several pieces escaped into public hands. After the Wallace discovery, additional mills were located in Philadelphia area. This particular gem was graded at Mint State 67 by NGC and ended up selling for $120,000 in 2019 at heritage auctions. Moving on to this magnificent 1916 Buffalo nickel with double die obverse, graded at Mint State 64 by PCGS, while certain older references describe this legendary Buffalo nickel variety as a double date variant. The source of doubling is not from repunching, as likely would have been the case were this a 19th century piece, but is the result of pivot hop doubling. Pivot hop doubling occurs when a die is pivoted about a point near the rim during the rehobbing. In the case of 1916 double die obverse nickel, that pivot point is somewhat between 1 and 2 o'clocks on obverse within the letters of Liberty. As a consequence, the word shows no doubling to the unaided eye, being too close to pivot to show anything but microscopic spread, other than incredible doubling on date. The present example is delightfully dramatically toned, with centers that are generally light nickel gray and colorful yellow, gold, orange, peach and rose margins. The obverse shows traces of mint green near the rims, while on the reverse, elements of golden brown parts of the bison. Sold on January 8, 2009 for $195,500 at heritage auctions. Here is relatively modern US coin worth huge money, 2000p Jefferson nickel struck by 2 obverse dies. This intriguing Jefferson nickel has 2 obverses, rotated approximately 225 degrees from a coin turn. Both sides are weakly struck due to improperly spaced dies, but exhibit a readable date and mint mark. and the partial outline of the bust of Jefferson. All the unstruck areas retain the dimple texture of planchet surface. Post-strike contact is confined to the rim near ING on one side and the rim near Berth on the other side. Surfaces are brilliant, luminescent, satiny. Double-headed and double-tailed mint errors are extremely rare. A few double-tailed coins are known, including a Washington quarter from 2 reverse dies that sold at Heritage auctions in 2006 for nearly $42,000. This Jefferson nickel, however, is only mint-made 2-headed coin showcased at Heritage among regular production coinage. Sold on April 26, 2018 for $20,520. This penny is among 100 greatest US coins. 1909 SVDB cent, tied for the finest certified. The 1909 SVDB Lincoln cent checks just about every possible box when it comes to collector desirability. The mint finally transitioned away from James B. Longacre's long-running Indian head design to this new design. It features the portrait of once living American 16th President Abraham Lincoln. The new cent included designer Victor David Brenner's initials at the lower reverse rim, sparking outrage among those who believed it was the artist's vain attempt to capitalize further on his commission. The initials were removed after a limited production of 484,000 pieces were struck at San Francisco Mint, creating a single-year type that also boasts the lowest mintage in the series. This fully struck example is every bit as nice, with radiant copper orange color and splashes of lemon yellow and reddish gold. Vibrant mint frost washed over smooth surfaces. This spectacular gem was sold on August 24, 2022 for $102,000 at Heritage auctions. Jumping onto this 1932 D Washington quarter at mint stage 66, low mintage key date and tied for the finest. The 1932 D is by far the rarest of Washington quarters. There are only 2 Washington quarters with mintage of under 1 million coins. The Great Depression had reduced the need for quarters to the point that none were struck in 1931 and none would be produced in 1933. The Washington quarter was intended to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Collecting quarters was not a popular pastime in 1932. Numismatic demand for the coins finally developed after World War II, and most survivors were culled from circulation by 1960. Today, the 1932 D is scarce but not really rare in lower mint state grades. But the issue is the prime condition rarity of the series in gem or better condition. The surfaces are wonderfully clean and free from abrasions that usually plague this issue. The reverse is mostly brilliant with hints of olive copper at the lower rim. Sold on January 4, 2018 for $74,400 at Heritage auctions. And here is most famous wrong planchet error, 1943 D Lincoln set struck on bronze planchet. The 1943 D bronze Lincoln set is a legendary rarity. This sought after wrong planchet error is holy grail of error collectors, but its appeals extends far beyond traditional numismatics, like its slightly more available Philadelphia and San Francisco mint counterparts. The 1943 D bronze Lincoln cent has every man appeal that's missing with most numismatic rarities. The Second World War was at its height in 1943, and copper was an essential commodity in the wartime economy. It was used by defense contractors in the manufacture of everything from shell casing to coma wire. To conserve this strategic metal for the war effort, the Treasury Department of US decided to use zinc-coated steel planchets instead of usual bronze coin blanks to produce all Lincoln cents that year. The resulting steel cents were produced in enormous numbers, and many examples were saved by collectors for the novelty value. The United States Mint accidentally used the wrong planchet metal when striking the coin, but very few of these left the US Mint facilities. These error coins were not intentional. Some copper planchets left over from the previous year got stuck in the corner of the large beans that moved the black planchets around the mint. Once they become dislodged, they were mixed with the regular zinc-plated steel planchets and processed through the coinage presses. So this numismatic pinnacle was sold on January 20, 2021 for $840,000 at Heritage auctions. That's all for today, guys. Hope you find this information on coins helpful. A thumbs up and subscription will be much appreciated. And if you have such rare valuable US coins, you can post them for sale easily by signing up on our coin trading platforms at coinaz.com. Have a wonderful day.